Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
Someone once said, where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart. What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation. Scan the QR code now to make that first step to investing intentionally.
Hi, and welcome to the December 16th version of The Right Side. And tonight we have our special guest, Genevieve Peters-Scott, who is running for U.S. Senate. Welcome, Genevieve, to very, very red Livingston County.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me, Deb.
Well, good. Glad to have you. So we are counting down the end of the year, the last of our podcast, and I just moved our way out of there. Here we go. Okay, now we're back. So we're counting down the last few of the year, and I'm pay attention whether I'm not having one next week or not. I don't know because it's so Christmas. We might not. But on December 30th, the long-awaited visit of 48th District candidate Brian Ignatowski is coming. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do with Brian later on tonight, and then we're going to have him. So let's get right into the meet and greet with Genevieve. So. Genevieve, tell us about yourself personally. Like, where'd you grow up and, et cetera?
Thank you. So, born and raised in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit, right near, Nottingham was the street that I was on, between Corville and Haverhill. It is now very different than what it was, but I always say that I lived the American dream. And my parents owned their home. We walked to school 4 blocks away. And, my parents said, go outside and play until the streetlights came on. I mean, that's the Detroit.
I remember.
Yeah, that's the Detroit we lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And shagging when it was really winter, if you remember, when the snow would come out, the kids would go behind the bumpers.
Yep.
I mean, that was just, that was normal.
It was.
It was totally normal. Just all sorts of crazy and a lot of fun. I mean, there were just tons of kids all around the neighborhood. Everyone was playing outside. Everyone was, really looking out for each other. It was truly the American dream. And not only did my parents own their home, but they owned it outright. And my dad, he worked in Warren. He built Chevys at the Warren plant. And my mom. Yeah, my mom, she worked at the diner, serving coffee.
So, awesome. So where'd you go to school then?
I went to school first at Wayne Elementary, and then I went in the middle of 7th grade. This is kind of where it gets a little personal for me. In the middle of 7th grade, me and all of my classmates were plucked out of our very comfortable school, and we were bused.
Oh, I remember those years. So what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 1981.
Okay, so I figured you were so you were somewhere near my age there. You're a little younger than I am, but I remember those days. Do you remember the no busing signs in the window? The picture of the bus with a circle and the slash everybody had?
Yes.
I grew up in Westland, which is just outside of Detroit. That's how I ended up in Howell. My parents just said no, we're not allowing. Nobody had a problem with the inner city kids coming to our schools, but they didn't want us going to the inner city. So you ended up having to go to Detroit, eh?
Yeah. So it literally felt like it was hours. We had to go. I remember always standing on the corner in the bitter cold, waiting for the bus, and sometimes the bus would just never show. And many times it would never show. And then going, to the school, which felt like forever when you're, 11 years old.
Sure.
And showing up to a school where no one wanted us there. No one, they were not happy. They didn't want us to be in their school. And now, mind you, these were all kids that I grew up with. And within literally the blink of an eye, my neighborhood was destroyed. Most of the people that could moved out. There were for sale signs everywhere. They left our neighborhood, and my best friends, they all left, and me and my family, we had to stay because we couldn't afford to move. And so what happened was I had a 1.5 year experience that was pretty traumatic. And I say that it's because of bad government policy. And I think, Deb, that's kind of what started my trajectory on truly wanting to make a difference and standing up for my rights and standing up for, just for what actually should be happening and not allowing government to literally take over, which is what they did in our neighborhood.
I remember that was like I said, I remember that's how I ended up in Howell, just from that issue right there. As I said, most of our neighbors, and for those of you too young to remember this, and the Detroit inner city kids were struggling because they just, things were going bad down there. So somebody came up with a great idea, and I still don't know. I mean, to this day, I was a kid too, so I don't know. But I don't know who came up with this idea. But they decided to take the suburb kids and take some of the suburb kids and bus them into the Detroit schools and take a bunch of the Detroit kids and take them out and put them in the suburb schools. They were looking to, help integration and help better education for some of the Detroit schools. And as I said, I don't remember anybody having problems with the kids from Detroit coming to our schools. But, my dad paid taxes for me to be in Westland schools, which were good schools, and he did not want me downtown Detroit where there was, violence and everything else. So, or, in the Detroit. So, we ended up moving to Howell. I remember those, but every window, and you could tell who had kids in the neighborhoods because they all had the bus with the silhouette of a bus and a circle and a line through it. And it was a big protest. And I don't know how it was resolved because suddenly I'm parked in the middle of 10 acres in Howell Township. So it was an interesting thing for me, but I never knew anybody that actually got bused. So that's an interesting situation. And so how long did you went from 7th grade? You graduated then from
so a 1.5 years.
Oh,
so
a 1.5 years.
Went
okay.
half through 7th, which is where we got plucked, and then the whole year of 8th grade.
And then did it reverse?
Yeah, it did reverse, but at that point, then I was going into high school. So at that point, now what had happened was my sisters were going to Denby, which again is in Detroit, and they were busing kids into Denby from other schools. And again, that created a tremendous amount of tension and a tremendous amount of, let's just say, they weren't getting the education that they deserved. And so it caused my sisters to not want to go to school anymore. And that really devastated our family.
Oh, that.
And then eventually my parents decided to put me and my younger sister into private school. So we ended up, but still in Detroit, 4 blocks the other way. Dominican High School is where I went.
All right. Okay.
And
so, go ahead.
Yeah. And then college, I went to Western. Go Broncos.
Hey, what'd you major in there?
So I started out in business, then I went into sociology, and then criminal justice, and then political science was my
Okay.
minor.
All right. So then from school, where did you go professionally from there?
So from there, I moved to California and went 2 years to Cal State Long Beach.
Okay.
And then I started my teaching career there. And
Okay.
And while I was there, I developed a school-wide K through 12 program. So I left the classroom because after that I had gotten an award and I got a lot of attention for this program because it was truly transforming cultures.
Mhm.
It was transforming cultures. You can actually look it up. It's still on YouTube. You can see the principals, the teachers, and the students talk about the transformation of what happened. And then turned that into a business, turned that into a very successful consulting business, and went around teaching teachers and helping schools and brand new. At that time, they were starting the whole charter movement.
Okay.
So getting charter schools up and running, and then obviously COVID hit, 2020, everything was shut down, and then went into public service.
Right. Okay. All right. So, and you came back to Michigan when then?
In 2020.
2020. Okay. All right. So let's see, Randy Guppy. Hello, Randy. On top of those problems, look how much wasted taxpayers' money is spent busing kids away from the school they live in walking distance from. Yes, we walked to our schools. We were allowed to take a bus in kindergarten, and then after that, we that was it. We hoofed it from that point on.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, Joni. That is an interesting journey, and those who lived in the suburbs, we understand what that was like. But boy, that was I wonder how that ever ended. I mean, I wonder how long did that busing program? I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
How long did that go on, and whose idea was that? I mean, who was the
right?
Was it something that happened in the governor's office? I mean, schools had to have agreed to it unless it came down from the legislature, which I never did find out how that worked.
Right. So all I know is that Coleman Young was the mayor during that time.
Yeah.
And I know that a court order is the one that actually finally stopped it.
Okay.
And so they were able to, completely stop it, reverse it. And
yeah, I'm gonna have to
the
look
damage
into
was
that.
already
I'm gonna have
done.
to look into that. I'd like to know whose bright idea that was. So
Yeah.
Okay, so you taught and then came back. What brought you back here in 2020 then?
Right, 2020. So I was asked to help out Macomb County GOP and help to elect President Trump.
Okay.
And so
From California, somebody
yep.
picked up the phone and said, "Come on back here and help us."
Well, okay, so in saying that, I have been fighting this good fight for over 40 years, and it started at Western Michigan, actually.
Okay.
I say my claim to fame was that one of my professors wanted to be on the city council. And I said, "Oh, I love this professor. I have no idea what his beliefs are, his ideas. I have nothing, but I want to help him, whatever I can do." And so I started knocking on doors. Me and my girlfriends did, and we worked so hard that not only did he get elected to city council, he literally just retired last year.
Oh wow! Okay. Oh wow! That's a long career.
It's my claim to fame.
There's your claim to fame. Yeah. So you got involved politically, and then somebody reached out to you from Macomb County and said, "Come on back here to Michigan and help us win," eh?
Yeah. So during that time, during those whole, all of my over the years, and it's national. I mean, I went to many different states, but I, as far as my activism and my advocacy. And that was, first and foremost, was the sanctuary law. So, when I found out that the sanctuary law was happening and it was protecting criminals against American citizens, and it was allowing our law enforcement to totally disregard federal law, then I got into action and I created a program, actually a group. It's still online on Facebook, Family America Project. And we were in 11 states and we started taking on these issues. So I built the largest coalition against sanctuary law. We went to 45 different town halls. We had 38 of those town halls, the elected officials wrote resolutions against sanctuary law so that their constitutional sheriffs could actually step in and not regard, not follow the law, basically. It was a huge thing. In fact, President Trump actually took notice. We got a tweet and said, you know, something is happening in California and they're waking up, and we were wide awake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
All right. So okay.
So that was just one thing. And then then obviously COVID happened, the illegal mandates.
Yep.
And so I was the first one to publicly defy the mask mandate. That was a Trader Joe video. Maybe some of you have seen it and
Okay.
don't realize it, but that was me saying this is unconstitutional. This is a mandate that is not a law, and you're not going to take my rights away. And I refused. They called the police. I live streamed the whole thing, and it went 15 million. It went viral.
Wow.
So I became nationally known, you know, for America First
Okay.
you know, advocate.
So when you came back, what, I mean, did you take an office in the party? Were you in the executive committee, or did you just help the party from the side?
So it was during COVID.
Right.
So everything was shut down,
Sure.
and I was brought in to Macomb GOP. And at that point, there was quite a rift between the
Yep,
state
I
party
remember.
and Macomb, and you know, they weren't talking to each other. You know, both sides, great people, you know, working hard, but it was a house divided. And I knew that there's no way that we could win if we were divided. So I worked really hard to build a team of volunteers and grassroots activists to come together, and we had a plan, a very strategic plan during that time. And as a result, we started working with the state party, and we started working together, door knocking and making phone calls and having, you know, all sorts of get out the vote, you know, activities. And one of the biggest things that I think really helped was that I was determined to go into the blue areas. And that's what we did. We went into Roseville, we went into Warren, we went into all of the areas of Macomb that were strictly blue. Because I knew from my many years of experience in, you know, this world, that if 2020 is going to bring out the red vote, we can then start chipping away at those folks that are either independent or they really just don't care. But if they get someone that comes to their door and they say, hey, we really need you, you know, this is this is who we are, and these are, you know. And I remember, and Macomb will definitely remember this, we had just phenomenal volunteers and phenomenal people that worked, you know, during this time, and we literally had assembly lines. And I remember, you know, speaking of Tony Forlini, he would come in, and he was running at the time, and he would come in and just be like, oh my gosh, you know, like, who is this? And we were just boom, 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 boom. I mean, you literally couldn't touch Macomb GOP.
Okay.
You couldn't touch us. I mean, we were literally 24/7. And again, we could, because it was COVID, so you know, no one was out there. But yeah, it was a pretty amazing time, pretty magical, amazing people.
Okay. All right. So, so have you ever run for office before?
I have never run for office.
Okay. So you decided to jump right in first time into the big place.
I don't consider it the big place.
Well, U.S. Senate is a big race. It's a huge race. So I guess it's not place so much as race. It is a huge race. It's statewide, and it's, you know, it's very, very big. So you know, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you know, anybody can run anywhere they want. It just, it's a very unique situation to have somebody that's never run before go for U.S. Senate. So let's, I mean, that's the question on everybody's mind. So let's just address that one. What made you want to run for Senate or U.S. Senate?
So first of all, I don't consider it a big race. I think the founding fathers were very specific in the fact that the 3 qualifications for a U.S. Senate is, first, you have to be at least 30 years old. You have to have lived in the country 9 years, and you have to live in the state that they're running for that office. So I think it was very specific because they wanted everyday people. They didn't want it to be a big office. They didn't want it to be elitism. They wanted it to be people that were going to represent. I didn't say it was a big office. I said it's a big race. That's a big difference. It's a big election. It's a, you know, you run for city council, it's a little election. You run for
U.S. Senate. It's a big election. Not that the office is big or it makes you, let's just be real clear on what I was saying there. I wasn't saying that there was any eliteness about it. And you're right. Those are the 3 qualifications, and anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody's, under those qualifications can. But it's just it's a big election. It's a big, wide, statewide election that has a lot of moving parts to it. So that's just, it is. I mean, I don't know of anybody that's ever done it before, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I think, well, actually there has. Katie Britt, she's won, and she won Senate.
Where?
And in Alabama.
Okay, again, Michigan.
I'm
but
just
go
saying
ahead.
there are people, but
Okay.
But my point is that I think it's the same process is the same whether it's a smaller geographic area or a larger. I mean, the components are the same. And the thing is that when, regardless of the race, it's about meeting people, it's about learning, about people, it's about connecting with people and finding out what's on their mind, what's on their heart, what are their concerns, whether you just duplicate that, in 83 counties.
Yeah.
And obviously,
which is what makes it the big race is 83 times,
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So, okay. So what made you want to do that? What you woke up one day and said, I'm going to jump into this particular race. What led to that?
Yeah. So I think after President Trump won for the 3rd time, and we got, I feel like a second lease on life, in July when his life was spared after the assassination attempt, I realized that, this is it. We're, this 3rd time, if he gets elected, I absolutely need to use my experience, my skills, my, everything that I've learned over the last 40 years. I've worked for 2 elected officials. I've worked with legislation policy. I've worked with bipartisan, groups. I've worked with the state leaders. I've worked with the legislators. I've brought them together to the local level. I worked for the 3rd largest county in Michigan, which was Macomb. And I've just built coalitions. I've brought people together. And I said, you know what? I need to go and I need to help our president continue to push forward our America First agenda. And I need to go there as a true ally to President Trump's America First policies.
Okay. And are you counting the 2020 election as a win for him?
I am.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I was doing the math there, and I was just trying to figure out where you were going with that. And then it dawned on me it could be that. It could be that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We have a question here. There's again that I think Genevieve addressed this one because that's what's on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
How do you intend to win against a candidate who's received President Trump's endorsement, has been running for more than 3 years, and also has funding?
Yeah. I think that's a lot on a lot of people's mind.
I would say everybody.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. The good news is that the primary is just that. It is created for the people to decide who they want to send to the general election. It's for not the party, not party leadership, and it's not about, for the people, okay? It's not about the money and the funding. Now, having said that, my opponent, the front runner, as you're saying, the person that has the endorsement, had President Trump's endorsement last time. He also was on the ticket with the president, and the president also won, and he was not able to beat a Democrat. So I think that should send shivers up everyone's spine, as it did mine, which is also why I knew, I'm someone that not only can get the Republican vote because of my stance and my stands, but I can also get the Libertarian vote. I can get the constitutional vote. That's just who I am, and that's what I stand for. So I think the Republican Party, I must look at this and say, you know what, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a big problem because it's already been shown. He's already proven this person that has the funding and has that. There's people say this person with the endorsement is lost by only 19,000. Well, the truth is that President Trump got 123,000 more votes than he did. So there is a reason why people didn't vote for that senator slot. And that, again, should send chills. So I want to make sure that we don't lose that seat. It's been controlled by people that do not share our values for 32 years.
Agreed.
And I'm not going to take that risk. So I am out there every single day. I am traveling the entire state. I'm meeting amazing people. We are building coalitions. We are building foundations of, just volunteers, grassroots. I'm talking to the young people, and it's been amazing, to be honest. It's been amazing, and we have a lot of support.
Okay, we have another question here. Hi, Brett. 2 questions. To Deb point, this is a statewide election. That means you're going to need a lot of fundraising and campaign dollars. Do you have a network that you can tap into, not only to work your ground game, but also handle your finances? Also, because it's a statewide election and the Democrats will also have lots of money, what kind of mud are they going to find out about you? That's a good question when the campaigns go negative.
So
let's start off with the,
right.
do you have, can you raise money? Do you have a fundraising? I mean, where are you on your fundraising is what he's asking.
Well, we're in the beginning stages of the fundraising, but it's a little bit strategic. And we have an amazing team, and our team is definitely ready and prepared. So I have an advantage, I think, again, because I am nationally known. I've worked in many different states, and there are a lot of different options that I have. So we are not concerned about the fundraising.
Okay.
And not to mention, dollars don't win elections, votes do. And the average person, which is those middle independents that we have such a large amount in our state, are not like you and I. They're not concentrated on politics. They don't care. They just want to make sure that someone is in there that they can trust, and that they, will do what they say they're going to do, and they're not going to continue the status quo. So there's just a lot more to it than what we as kind of political people, put out. But obviously money's a portion, and
well, and you can have the best message in the world, but if you don't have money to get it out, it doesn't matter. All those people that you're talking about aren't going to hear it. So I can understand the campaign games. I've been involved in enough elections myself and I hear the same thing from some of our, gubernatorial candidates. Well, does it cost anything to vote? No, you're right. It doesn't cost anything to vote, but they're not going to know you exist unless you can get them mailing, or you can get a commercial, or you can get billboards, or you can get whatever other stuff you have. So you're saying you have good fundraising. Now, is there?
Well, I'm saying that we are going to kick that in.
Okay.
We have some strategy about that.
Okay.
But I also want to say that, in the elections, I've worked several campaigns, and the elections that, some in the past did not have the social media component. So you have, a huge, factor in there that grassroots candidates can actually take advantage of.
Sure.
And I certainly have done that.
Okay, good. All right. Also, Democrats, he wanted to know, is there something that they could throw out about you that can go negative? Is there something in your background that you need to get in front of, or you need to bring out?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think that anything and everything that I've ever done, any of my advocacy, my activism has always been to protect the American people, and to protect the voice, and to protect our constitutional rights. And I'm proud of anything and everything I've ever done.
Okay. All right. So, Joni, thanks you for your explanation there. All right. So we have in Livingston County, for years I've taught election. I've taught how to go through a campaign, and we basically stick to state reps and lower. We don't go into congressional, and certainly not U.S. Senate, but we do talk. And I explain to them that the most qualified candidate isn't 100% of the time elected. Lots of times it's the lower percentage, but 100% of the time, the most electable candidate is who's elected. And we become electable by something I describe as Drick election pie. And the Drick election pie is this: you have a pie, and it's full of slices, and the slices are things like endorsements and message and ground game and door knockers and sign locations and fundraising and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, well-known name, et cetera, experience. So where does your pie pieces, where are they happy? Because he who has the most pie slices wins. So where are your pie slices the heaviest versus the rest of the campaign?
Well, I think that my pie slices are the heaviest with my experience. Like I said, I've been around this. I've worked for a state party before. I've worked for campaigns. I've worked building coalitions. I've worked, taking on the rich and powerful. I've pretty much done it all, and I think that that's a huge strength. I also have a strength in, again, relationship building, and I think that in any position, it's really important to be able to build relationships and be able to work with people. I'm not necessarily someone that goes by an R or a D or a right or a left or red or blue, because I think as soon as we do that, we get resistance. And I think that there's so much conflict and so much resistance right now, in the world, and it's been that way for too many years. And I think that people are tired of that. I think they just want to solve problems. I think they just want to get to the bottom. They don't want to put Band-Aids on things anymore. They want to actually make sure that things are moving forward and they're actually affecting, mom and dads and families and bread and butter issues. And they want to do, they just want stuff done. They're kind of tired. And I've met with a lot of young people, and I'll tell you, they're sharp. And these are people like 20 years old that are talking about issues and saying, like, I'm so tired of the fighting, and I don't care about your fighting. I don't care about your issues. And it's actually pretty surprising to me, because I guess I just didn't think that they were paying attention, but they are. They're definitely paying attention, and they know the issues. And I think that that's kind of attributed to social media as well, because they're getting it in such a different format. So they have a lot of those ideas. So I think as far as piece of the pie, I think that there's a tremendous pieces.
Yeah. Who has the most pie pieces? They're going to win. So where do you have all the pie pieces, I guess?
So that was it. My experience, I think my relationship building, I think my ability to build coalitions, I think the fact that I love people, and it comes across. There's an authenticity about me that comes naturally because I just really love people. I want to understand them. I want to find out what their thoughts are. I want to find out, why we're, thinking differently, and, hopefully influence them in a positive way.
Okay. So one question I have for you then is that just something you said. Let me expand on a little bit. When you say you do not identify as an R or a D or a red or a blue, are you running as a Republican, or are you going to run as an independent?
No, what I mean by that is when someone asks me, what are you running as? I always say I'm running as an American. Yes, no, I'm completely aligned with Republican and conservatives, but you won't hear me say a label, because I'm an American first, and I'm a constitutional republic, and I'm a Christian. Those are the labels, and I'm a wife.
Okay, all right. Do you think that's not going to hurt you with the Republican Party?
Well, I'm
if
completely
you're not,
aligned.
But if you're not identifying as, well, in
the state of Michigan,
again, you got a whole unique thing here. I'm just going to pick at for a little bit.
That's okay.
It's a whole bunch of new stuff for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Pick away.
Yeah.
Deb.
No, I don't mean pick as in mean. I just question. I'm curious now.
Yeah.
So you won't label yourself as a Republican in your race, and you don't think that's going to hurt you as the Republicans to get the Republican vote?
No, I'm running as a Republican.
Okay.
And I'm saying that when people ask me, I let them know that I'm running as an American.
Okay. All right. So it's more of a slogan than you were saying. Okay, I get you now.
Well, it's not a slogan. No, it's not
I mean,
a
but
slogan.
it's a true slogan, but it's still if you're still a Republican, correct?
Right.
Okay, there you are.
Right. But I'm saying you don't have to, in Michigan, you do not have to label yourself. You do not have to decide.
No.
And even in the primaries, you can pick, either ticket. The point is that if we start looking at each other as fellow Americans instead of putting the label out there, it's going to allow us to have way more conversations and solve way more problems.
And I think here's where you and I are going to have a disconnect on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Republican Party. I'm the chair of a Republican Party. It is not my job my role is to focus on not meeting Democrats in the middle, but to win elections against them. So that's why I see it. I'm going to see it differently. But then again, I'm not a candidate. So as a candidate, you'd have a different strategy.
Well, it's not only that too. There's also independence. I mean, obviously, we have to appeal to the independents.
Sure.
We have to make sure that we bring those, because we can't win just with the Republicans.
I agree.
We have to bring in other parties, like I said, the Libertarians. Many of them have Republican ideas.
Sure.
Many of them follow Republicans. Same with the Constitutional. So we need to be able to have that bridge. We need to be able to bring those over to our values.
All right. Well, that is your strategy, and that is your right to do. So we have a question here. What is your stand on right to life and 2A?
So my right to life, I believe that all life has the right to live, and that means the child in the womb and outside of the womb. And my 2A stance, I am a member of the NRA, and I believe that there should be no laws against our constitutional right. I am a constitutional American, and I believe in our constitutional republic.
Okay. And Chris, in his normal, see, if Chris was sitting here saying this, I would have to move that microphone way over there just like I did, because that's how Chris talks when he gets excited. All right, Chris agrees with me. All right, good. Chris, I'm picking on you. I had a good time when you were on the show. All right, so, okay, well, that's just, like I said, very unique views, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, just unique. So tell me about your kind of your goals as can you, I don't know. I mean, I don't want you giving up secret strategies, but tell me what your campaign strategy as far as the public portion of that goes.
Yeah, so campaign strategy is obviously meet as many people as possible, because when they meet me, they like to, what I have to say. They like my stands. They like my experience. They like where I've been. They like what I've done, and what I've been able to produce. So that's a big thing, is just getting around the state. And I also want to get around to other counties. Unfortunately, in Michigan, we have certain populated areas that kind of control the elections. And I think that the UP gets forgotten a lot, and, even like the upper, like Emmett County and things of that nature. So even though I know that, quote unquote, the votes are, Macomb, Oakland, Kent, Detroit, Wayne, I also want to go and make sure that I'm visiting the areas that have felt forgotten, because as the next United States Senator of Michigan, I want to make sure that people know that I'm going to represent all of the state, not just the populated areas.
Okay. Curtis Clark chimes in that he agrees with you that, sorry, wrong button. He agrees with you that he's an American first and should consider themselves as Americans. Thanks for that, Curtis. So tell me about your issues. Like, what are the issues you're running on, or what's important to you as far as becoming, a senator? Something had to have caught your attention to head that way.
Well, again, America First policies. I mean, I think for decades.
Pretend we don't know what those are.
Okay, so for decades, America has been put last, and we saw it. Like I said, it's very personal for me because of what happened with my family and with my father, working on the factory floor, and then the jobs just disappearing, and my, once wonderful city just completely turned, and was like a ghost town. So our jobs were not protected. Our manufacturing, we stopped building things, we stopped, we became a completely consumer country.
Okay.
And that's dangerous on many levels, and obviously we've seen the results of it. So one of the biggest things is, obviously, as I fought, for even at the border, is making sure that our borders were secure. Now, obviously, we got lucky because the Big Beautiful Bill actually codified 28 of the laws that the executive orders that President Trump passed. And there's so much more that needs to be done. He's got now well into 250 executive orders that need to be codified. And the American people and the people of Michigan, they need to be able to see what those bills are. I mean, we have so much, we've made public service and representation government so complex that people just tune out. And that's a problem. That's a problem for, many people, because obviously, how can you be a representative government if people just are tuned out and they don't want anything to do with it? So those are the kind of things that I want to make sure that we start making it a little bit more streamlined, not packaging into, big packages of bills and that no one knows, just like the old, Pelosi, we'll pass it first, with Obamacare, and then I'll read the 1,200 page, bill. I mean, this is, just insanity. And so these are the kind of things that I want to tackle. There's so many executive orders that need to be made into law. And truthfully, after the big, beautiful bill, I feel like, Congress is asleep, and that just has to stop. And that comes, again, with building relationships, building coalitions, and getting people to work actually for the American people.
Okay. All right, Rob and Anna Marie Pellizzari, what's your background? What in your background has prepared you for a Senate race, and how are you prepared to be a senator? You a little bit answered that, but
yeah, I did. So again, my start, I actually say this, and I say it tongue in cheek, but I think that it's pretty poignant, is starting my career in education as a middle school teacher. I dealt with a lot of nonsense. And if you look at the, any of the Senate hearings, you see a lot of bullying. I dealt with that as a middle school teacher. I was able to shut down bullies. I was able to put them in their place and get them productive again. You see obviously in the classroom where they're off focus, getting them back on focus. I mean, these are real situations that are happening. It's not just, going in there and legislating. I mean, there's so many processes and so many protocols that have to happen. And again, I keep stressing it's relationship building. Nowadays you can find, any answer at the, just the drop of a click of a button of, and do deep dive research. And I've been a deep dive researcher all my life. And I think that that's also where I have gotten my influence and my credibility, because I really like to really delve into issues. I like to get well beyond the surface. So there's a tremendous amount that I bring. And I, again, I like to learn about other people, and I want to find out about differences so that we can get to a common ground and move forward in America for the American people and the people of Michigan.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. And here comes Chris. It's funny, I'll just cross that off my list now. Regardless of the primary outcome of any race in the U.S. Senate race, will you commit today to supporting, helping, and voting for all the Republicans up and down the ballot in the general election?
That's a tough one. And the reason I say that, because, it is a tricky thing to go from someone that is aligned with Republican values versus someone that's not. And obviously, I would always pick someone that's aligned with Republican values.
So let's be less tricky with that question then.
Okay.
My question, very similar to that, was going to be, I just wrote it down, was going to be, if it comes down to a Democrat and one of those Republican candidates, will you support that Republican candidate if it is not you? Either of those candidates would be better than the Democrat, is what we're saying.
Like I said, yeah, I think, again, it would be incredibly hard, because there's some major issues that I have with certain candidates. And if they do end up winning, it would be incredibly hard. But I think at the end of the day, I do want to make sure that people that don't value the things that we value are not in office.
Okay. So I'm trying not to, so I don't want to put words in your mouth here. So let me just kind of paraphrase. What you're saying is, if we have two other Republican candidates at this time in the race. I would be shocked if we get any more. But then again, I was shocked that we got another one recently.
I think that's wonderful.
So
actually.
it is okay. So I mean, it's America, and this is what we do. So that's what primaries are for Republican on Republican. But
Yep.
And I am a firm stance on this. The general is not for Republican on Republican. It is to band together and beat the Democrat. And whether or not either of those other, if you win, I would expect them to drop what they're doing, drop their differences, who cares, and get behind you.
Right.
But if they win, I expect whoever's left to get behind them, because if you don't vote the Republican, you are giving the Democrat a vote. And I have a real hard time with anybody saying that they have America first and they want Republican principles to win, but they won't vote for the guy that they agree with 70% of the time. So then to help the person that agrees with 0% of the time. So you know, you got a Democrat that you're not going to agree with at all, right?
Right.
And then you got a Republican, maybe you agree with 75% of the time.
Yep.
Where would be the hesitation, or where would that be hard? I guess that's where I'm questioning.
Like I said, I mean, I think that there's some deep concerns with some candidates, and again, it would be, you know, obviously I don't want to see, you know, people that don't align with our principles, our foundation. So I would make sure that they're not elected.
Okay, so we have Chris's thoughts here. His interest is conservative constitutionals. Our interests are always better served under Republican majorities than under the tyranny of the Democrat. And that's I guess the hardest, or the most important part. Hang on. That's the most important part, because regardless of whether or not your Senate Republican agrees with you 70% of the time, 40% of the time, or 90% of the time, the first vote that Senate Republican does is votes for a Senate Majority Leader. Because if you don't have the majority, you don't get the majority leader, and it's the majority leader that controls everything, right? Correct. So if even if you have concerns, even if you're Republican and your other Republican candidate, you don't align with 100%, or you only align with half of it. Let's just be generous and say half. If that person, let's say, supports pro-choice and pro-gun, and they get elected, let's just say either one of those candidates support that, they get elected, all right? They are going to first vote for that Senate Majority Leader, who then controls everything. It doesn't matter at that point if you're senator.
And
because none of that stuff will ever come up, because the Senate Majority Leader will set the agenda.
Right.
So.
And I think I answered that, Deb.
Okay.
I said
our questions here say not, but all right.
Well, then I'll make it crystal clear.
Okay.
I said that it would be incredibly hard for me, because there's some major issues that I have with some candidates, but I would not allow
so you'll hold your nose and do it, is what you're saying. All right, that's all I needed to know. All right, good. Chris, you're good on this? All right. So good. All right. Democrats are going to run a health care as a human right campaign. We saw this in the government shutdown. Yes, we did, Brett. And we hear about it now with the Republicans advancing proposals to address the ACA extensions. What's your position as a senator on the U.S. health care discussion?
Well, obviously, we have to completely take Obamacare out of the equation. I mean, that absolutely has to happen. That's one of the reasons. I mean, when government gets involved in healthcare, again, going back to the constitutional republic, anything that's not in the Constitution shouldn't be on the backs of the American worker. And that's what's happening, is they're taking the money out of the families, out of the American workers' paychecks and pocketbooks, and they're paying for things that should never be paid for. Obamacare being one of them. And then what happens, and what is happening, and what has happened, is that hospitals and, all of the medical, expenses then have a blank check from the government. So the skyrocketing prices, there's been no competition. There's, it's just this game of monopoly, and between, these big, private equity firms that are buying up all of these hospitals and pharmacies and, paying for these doctors. It's a complete, disgrace on what's happening into our healthcare. So what needs to happen is competition. So we absolutely need to have transparent pricing. That is, again, something that President Trump has done in an executive order, and we need to prioritize these things. transparent pricing. This means we need to be able to see exactly what every hospital, every doctor, every surgeon, every pharmacy is actually paying for whatever it is, the service that they're giving. You know, in America, we're not actually utilizing more healthcare services than other countries, but we're paying more for them. And we're paying more for them because we've got Obamacare and we've got the federal government having a blank check on these, charging enormous prices. And then we also have the monopoly. We've got to these, so a lot of times what these hospitals are doing and these mergers, they're saying we're going to merge so that we can actually save money for the consumer and for the patient, and the exact opposite's happening. So what I want to make sure that we do is that we pass bills that, again, we can pass, we can codify President Trump's executive orders on, you know, transparent pricing, transparent pharmaceuticals, make sure that we bring our pharmaceuticals back to the states as well, and also make sure that all the pricing is transparent, because once they're exposed, because they also play games with the whole billing thing as well. So, you know, they'll bill you, the name is different. Oh, you know what, that's not getting the money that we need, so we're going to recode it into a different thing. And we've got to simplify that. We've got to make it major codes. This is how much, you know, you're charging, you're going to let us know, and then competition starts, and people can actually, they can pick their healthcare according to pricing, not according to this monopoly, total squeeze the American worker and the American businesses. It has to stop, and
Yes.
President Trump gets it.
Oh, yes, he does. And you're right. That's a bad policy. It was a bad situation. It should have never been allowed in, and to get to that point, and here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you need to tell us about you, or what your thoughts are, or what you're going to do? Like, what's your like first three things you're going to do?
Yeah, okay. So the first thing, three things I'm going to do is I'm going to get to know actually each and every one of my fellow senators, and that includes people on the other side of the aisle, because, you know, there's a lot of, I want to say, political theater that you see in these rooms. I know that this is probably not well known, and I know Marjorie Taylor Greene is definitely a hot button now. You might love her, you might not, but she was actually my national communications director for Family America Project. So I always say that I gave her start. So, which I did. And we traveled the nation together, and she spoke on the deep state, and I spoke on the sanctuary law, and just exposing all of that. My point being is there's a lot of theater that goes on in the public eye, but the truth is that, you know, whether or not a bill gets to the floor, whether or not a vote gets, you know, happens, it's all relationship building. And so once I, you know, develop those relationships on both sides of the aisle, and obviously I'm someone that has a very strong spine, as does the president, you know, bringing people together and making sure problems are solved. So again, looking at the prioritizing the executive orders, seeing which ones are going to be the lowest hanging fruit so we can get as many as possible in the 2 years that he has left. That's another thing that really fuels me, is making sure that while he is there, while the most amazing president, and again, some people might not agree with every single thing, but I'm telling you, every day I wake up and I say, I voted for that. I voted for that. So there's so much, you know, he gets a wide berth, you know, even again, to your point, Deb, if it's 70% of what we want and 30% not,
It sure beats Kamala.
Yep, it's moving the ball forward.
Yes. And Joni says she totally agrees with you on the Obamacare affordability. We are getting several questions here regarding the finances. So can you touch on that a little bit? There seems to be some question or some concerns about you know, one of your opponents being just way ahead in the millions, and are you going to be able to compete with that?
Right. Well, again, I think that, you know, President Trump proved that, you know, with Kamala Harris and her billions. You know, he had just a portion of what she had. So money, again, doesn't win. Obviously, you need money, and we will have it, and we will be able to raise money, but it doesn't win elections. And you can be far outspent, just like Kamala Harris far outspent Trump, and she still lost.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. So when is your deadline for, you haven't got your signatures in, correct?
Correct.
So
Nope.
when are your signatures, like when's your deadline or when's your goal or whatever you want to say?
April is
April?
April is our deadline.
You got a target? Are you on target to get them?
We need signatures. So
Okay.
definitely those of you that are listening, all 14 of you, please.
No, that's just one site.
Okay, got it.
Trust me, we're better than that.
Oh, okay, wonderful. That's
all
great.
few hundred
Even
of
better.
you watching.
Okay, all few hundred of you, all millions of you.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, not that many, but yeah,
you know,
we're doing better than 14.
At some point,
look, you made 3 of them mad.
Okay, all right, that's okay.
No,
well, at some
that's
point,
just
we
one,
hope to get
one
thousands
of many
and
sites.
thousands.
Look at all those sites up there. So,
Awesome,
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we hope that this goes viral. So anyway, please, I would love to come and talk to your people. I'd love to come and meet you. I would love to come to your area, and we will pass out petitions, because that's what grassroots does. You know, we go out and we meet the people, and that's actually been a lot of fun. You know, because getting signatures, the whole point of that, why they legislated that 15 to 30,000, is so that you're getting actual support. You're talking to the people. You're finding out that they want you to actually be on the ballot. So people that pay for the signatures, I think that's great. And you know, if you have to do it, but you're basically missing the most important part, and that's meeting the people.
Yep. Yes, that is true. Let's see. So, yeah, I had a thought, and then I looked at that question, and it went out the window, and that's just my age. It happens all the time. Your signatures, oh, I was just going to say, you know, you're right that campaigning is not supposed to be easy. To be a legislator, whether it's on a state level or on a federal level, it is not an easy job. It is time, it is money, it is taxing, it is stressful, and campaigning is hard. And so I think that campaigns, I think they put these benchmarks in just so you know, I mean, just to prove the worthy, I guess, you know, that if you can't make those steps, if you can't get out there and knock on doors, if you can't get out there and get your signatures, how are you, you know, you are not going to value the position that you've just got yourself into. So you're right. That's it was part of the reason that they made it tough. All right. So we don't have any other questions here. If you have a website, you want to direct it, or first of all, you want to say a closing remark, and then we'll put your website up there if you want.
Yeah. So I just want to say to the Republican Party that, you know, it is absolutely, obviously essential that we win the 2026 midterms. And I think it's really important to keep your, just keep your heart open to other candidates that might not be, you know, the lock and, you know, what might appear to be lock solid, because they just might not be. So you want to give everyone a fair chance. And that means allowing them to come into your, you know, your county, into your group, and truly, you know, what the whole point of a primary is about. I mean, that's honoring, you know, our system. And so I would just ask that you give me that opportunity to not only meet you, but to meet the people that you represent, and allow them to choose for themselves, because that's why we have the process that we have.
Okay. And what's the website if people have questions or want to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Genevieve Peters Scott, and my initials are GPS.
I know, that's how I remember your order, because I couldn't remember if it was Scott Peters or Peter Scott, but I was like GPS. All right, I got it.
Yes. So it's GPS4Senate.com.
Is it FOR or number 4?
FOR.
FOR Senate.
Yep. GPS4Senate.com. Yes. And then we have a sign up, we have a donation, we have all of that going on. So we would love to have you be part of our team. We have an amazing team, and we're doing really good things, and we would love to have you as part of it. So sign up.
What happened here? Oh, okay. Well, we have one of our sites that's will not print that, but everything else did, so we're good. All right. Well, we thank you for making the trip out to Livingston County here. We welcome you here. It is a wonderful place to be. And you're welcome to any of our events. If you sign up for our Facebook page, you'll see them all. But our events are our meetings. We won't have a meeting until February. Our January meeting will be held. It will be part of a strategic planning session that we do every January, and then February will be back to the first Thursday of the month. So, but you'll see all that stuff if you join the webpage. So
wonderful.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming, and we're going to go to a commercial, and we'll be. Whoops. I lost my commercial. We're going to.
Thank you, Deb.
Wait a minute. What happened to my commercials? Tyler took my commercials out. Oh, all right. There we go. All right. We'll be back shortly.
Someone once said, where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart. What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation. Scan the QR code now to make that first step to investing intentionally.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why? Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the right side. And with me now is the brand new 7th District Chair, District 3, Livingston County Commissioner, Frank Sample. So welcome, Frank. You're very active in the American Legion.
Correct.
You're very active in the VFW.
This ideology is very damaging to the students who are told if you get this surgery,
and make do the social transition, the medical transition, then you'll be happy. You know, your problems will
Yes,
solve. Learned so much.
I'll bet. That's some institutional knowledge right there.
And we have, as a special guest, as I said earlier, we have Kevin Rinke with us. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Go Boge. Thanks, Kelly. There are no shortage of them. We love meeting new people.
Right, yes.
It's in good shape, so that's good news.
That safeness is not afforded to every citizen. They are special.
There's a difference between men and women. There's a biological difference, and it's time for us to stand up for our girls.
He went through, and he came back with a report said there's no way Detroit can meet its obligations on the tax base.
Yes.
So is this DEI focused just on the high school, or are they talking about all
district, the entire district?
Maybe that's kind of normal. It's really not. There tends to be little fiefdoms with different police agencies and police versus fire and fire versus EMS and blah blah blah. That's not the case here. So Livingston County is very fortunate.
Hey, not too long ago, in many of our lifetimes, Detroit was the third largest city in America.
Oh yeah,
3.2 million citizens.
It's been a great experience. I mean, I have no regrets about moving here.
There's an old saying that the road will get you elected, the jail will get you unelected. So, I'll give you an idea.
You have to have a reason to change for change to be enacted.
The Exalted Christ Ministry offers resources to help you understand historic Christianity. Visit theexaltedchrist.com for articles, podcasts, and a video series exploring scripture and key historical topics. Get free resources today at www.theexaltedchrist.com.
And we're back, or no, not we're back, I'm back. I'm back, and that was an interesting interview. So we have I had a lot of, let me go back to the comments here. We got some new comments coming in. Okay, so I love the LCRP commercial. I do too, Rob. I get a tingle every time I see it. So just so you know, we're doing another one. I came up with another one, and it's going to be about, your membership, and it's going to be about signing up for the membership, and it's not so much join, but what we do with the money and that sort of thing, what our needs are. So it's another one of my Debbie Drick kind of creative commercials. So anyway, you'll get a kick out of it. So this time, buddy, I'm going to hunt you down to make sure you're in it, because we had to, we accepted your situation last time, but I'm not accepting it this time. Hello from Jackson County. Hi, Russ. How are you? Good to see you. Excuse me, had a great time with on Russ's podcast last week, so that was fun for anybody who got to watch that. So let's see what's new going on here. I had a good meeting with Brian Ignatowski, who is our state rep candidate for the 48th district that is currently held by a Democrat. The awful, and I say awful, if you picture awful in capital bold letters underlined, that's that kind of awful redistricting that we had this last time gave Livingston County, the south side of the county, a Democrat rep. It's awful. It was the year that Prop 3 was on the ballot, so Democrats swept everything. So anyway, we ended up with a Democrat rep, so we've been trying to beat that person ever since. So Russ and I were talking about this. Russ Jennings here from Jackson County is the chair of the Jackson County GOP, doing a great job over there. Boy, they have a beautiful spot. Oh my gosh, they took me on a tour and I just drooled with envy. So I've just asked Russ to kind of grab Brian and do a little event for him out there too, because one of the townships, Waterloo Township, is in Jackson County. So it's Jackson County, Washtenaw County, and Livingston County for Brian. So Brian and I met yesterday and kind of tried to come up with some plans and some strategies on how to really elevate him and bring him up to the next level. So we've come up with some good stuff. One of which is in January, the Martin Luther King Day. We're going to do, I'll give you times. It'll be something like, 5:30 to 8:30 or something like that, or 5 to 8, something like that. But to be determined time. We're going to do it right here at the Victory Center. We're going to do an ice cream social forum, and that's basically any size donation to Brian will get you ice cream, soda, hot chocolate, and or a root beer or Verner's float. So put that on your calendar. That's Martin Luther King Day. We're doing it on that Monday night. There's no commission meeting on that night, so that's good news. So but I'm really energized by Brian's energy. He's really putting himself into this. I'm really happy. Brian was going to run for a trustee position in Hamburg last time, but when we didn't have anybody for the 48th, he stepped up. So we appreciated that. And he came, fairly close considering he was outspent and, he kind of got into it late. Well, this time, he started much earlier, so he's out there getting his message. He's, written down this worked last time, this didn't work last time. So he's got a little bit more of a, a little more experience behind him on what worked and what didn't. So I have high hopes for him. I had high hopes then, and he did amazingly well considering, coming in kind of late like that. But I think he's going to pull it off this time if he works the plan that, he was talking about yesterday, which I have no doubt he will. So when you see him, buzzing around, especially if you're in Washtenaw County, when you see him buzzing around on that Segway as he's doing his doors, wave, say hi like Bill Reiber did, and cheer him on because he could use the enthusiasm. Also, anybody that's looking to help him out, door knocking or donations or whatever, you can always reach out to me and I'll get you hooked up there. But we're going to do that with him. But he's coming on the 30th, so he'll be able to talk about his plans, what he's really standing for, what he's looking to do in the State House. So I think he's got a fairly good chance, and we're gonna really work for him hard. Russ Jennings, while you're sitting there looking, we need to pick a date. You need to come out here and you need to be on our podcast. Let's hear about what Jackson's doing. I think I'd like to get all the surrounding chairs out here. What do you guys do well? What do what can we learn from each other? Where I was really happy to hear Kelly Sackett became the chair of chairs. She and I have had discussions about different counties working together, trading state secrets and strategies, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, that kind of thing. And we're really good at this, they're really good at that. Let's work with each other to make us both really have a synergistic partnership there. So what else is coming? We have our strategic plan coming. We were gonna do it, and I think it might have even gotten sent out for January 10th, which is the second Saturday, was just when we usually do it. And lo and behold, as soon as we put that out, Sharon Lalliel called me and said that Chairman Runstead wants January 10th to be a statewide citizens-only vote initiative. So I think they want to do that on the 10th. So, I don't want to compete with that. So I think we're going to back it up. Maybe you guys could tell me, we could make it, I think what's the date of the first Saturday? It's like the 3rd. Yeah, it's the 3rd. So do we want to do it the 3rd or do we want to do it the 17th? So this is what I need to know. The 3rd or the 17th? I mean, I'm okay with the 3rd, but it's, I don't know if people leave for vacation or whatever, and then they don't, after New Year's, then they don't come back till the Sunday, the 4th. So I don't, I really want my full EC there. Matter of fact, our first EC meeting will be right before that, like at 8:30 in the morning. So, the 17th. All right, the husband chimed in. Whoops, 17th. Well, you're gonna have a good argument to beat that now. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. The 3rd is hard because people are just coming back. So let's make it. We're gonna make it the 17th. Joni says the 17th. Okay, now all right. I got everybody saying. Okay, here we go. What is this now? I'm interested in identifying the top 10 most constitutionally conservative county GOPs. Give them the Patriot Approve endorsement. The constitutionally conservative county GOPs. Curtis, I have no idea what you're talking about there. I mean, wouldn't you consider all GOPs to be conservative? I would think so. I'm not sure how you measure how one GOP is more conservative than the other. I like your ideas. I just needed, I think, honed down a little bit better, like what would be the criteria in defining how constitutionally conservative the GOP is. I mean, you could measure the elected officials. Are they are the commissioners, have they done a constitutional amendment or a resolution? Are they a 2A counties? Where are they? But I don't know how you measure a GOP, because we're all fairly conservative, the best I can tell. Let's see what else. So we have our strategic planning. So we're going to probably do the 17th. I just have to find a place. I've got a couple places in mind. And then we will do, as I said, we'll do our executive committee meeting for January at 8:30. Basically just do it the half an hour, do a half an hour quick meeting and what we need to do, what we need to vote in, and then start with the strategic planning at 9. As always, I am looking for a sponsor for breakfast and a sponsor for lunch for our strategic planning. And you know my email by now. If not, Tyler's going to help me out here. Or unless you already, did you already do my email? No, you didn't. chair@livingstonrepublicans.com. And send me an email if you're interested, or text me if you know my number. Text me, and if you're interested in sponsoring a breakfast or a lunch. So let's see. Let's do that right there. There we go. So that will be strategic planning. Now, tomorrow night, I know that some of you, and I'm going to leave my email up here, because tomorrow night we're doing I found a family. Oh, look at this. Our commission chair is sponsoring breakfast. Woohoo! Sorry, well, I need a sponsor for lunch now. So, oops, wrong one. Okay, so tomorrow night I found a family with multiple children and really struggling, and I got to back up. I've been with the different groups that go and do what they call the $100 lunches. This time of year particularly, we do the $100 lunches where a bunch of ladies, sometimes men, but a bunch of ladies get together somewhere and we order a burger, we order whatever, and then we all pay with a $100 bill and then leave, and so they get this massive tip. Sometimes that's somebody that really needs money, and sometimes it's maybe not a struggling single parent or something. Now, before I married Jay, and I don't know how many people know this, but I was a very struggling single parent. I had 3 little children, 2 were in diapers when I started this journey as a single parent. And it was the absolute toughest the toughest years I ever survived. Every single dime counted, there was nothing that could be wasted. And, food was tough. And this time of year, I remember one year it was so hard. I was barely making bills. And I remember, thank gosh, my children were little at the time, and I don't think they have a memory. But I mean, Christmas came from the dollar store, and it just came from unwrapping a bunch of little things. Because that's what I could not do any better than that. They got their real presents, I guess, from grandma and grandpa. So, it's tough. So this time of year, I remember that, I was talking to somebody today, and I was explaining it to them and basically saying that when you go through a period of time like that where you have no money whatsoever and nothing, and every single bill that comes in freaks you out, and I remember for Christmas my mom and dad coming over saying, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I just gave them a shoebox and said, "Pick a bill, please, pick a bill, pay it. That's all I need." It was so hard. I never knew if I was going to have enough money for this or that. And eventually, at some point I started my own business. I went back to school, but I did that from absolute dirt poverty to bringing myself to where I actually started. I remember the first savings account I opened up. I remember the first year I did not qualify for free lunches. That was like celebration. I just had 3 little kids, and I had to, think of them. So we qualified for free lunches in school, and, I made every penny count. There was no such thing as throw out food. If I had 2 teaspoons of peas and 1 drumstick, it went in a freezer bag in the freezer. So at the end of the week, right before paycheck, out came the freezer bags, and I made a meal out of that for the 3 little kids I had. So it was that kind of life. So this time of year, now, having said that, I will say this, going through that, people tell me you're a tough lady, and I am. I'm a tough old bird. I say this all the time, but I got that way because of that. I mean, after going through something like that, you don't get intimidated after that. You don't get afraid of things. You're not afraid to try things. You're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of getting knocked down and standing up and going again. Why? Because you've done it and you've seen that you can achieve what everybody else doesn't think you can. And, I started my own business and suddenly I made enough money that I could pay my bills. And then oh my gosh, I started a savings account and, and my life changed. So I went to school. I did things. So, my kids, I no more shopping at dollar stores for Christmas, but I never forgot those times. I never forgot them. And while I understand that whoever's going through this right now, if there's anybody going through that right now, I want you to understand this. Don't give up. It will get better. If you quit, you beat yourself. Don't beat yourself. You continue to fight. You will win. Just continue going. Work hard, and you will get what you want to do. Do not quit. But I understand that is, important. That struggle is something that develops character. It develops grit. It develops, it gets rid of fear because you don't have anything to lose. But at the same time, this time of year, the guilt that a parent feels when they're not paying, they can't pay their bills and they can't buy presents. It's awful. So having said all that, yes, I like going on those $100 lunches where, you're able to give that to somebody, but I also like to do something where I do a little vetting, and I vetted a family that is, has multiple children. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get back to them, but multiple children, and they're struggling for bills, much less presents for those kids. And so we are meeting tomorrow night at 6:00 in a place in Howell, and we're going to bless a server in an establishment, and we're going to make sure that this family has some money for bills in for Christmas. So if you'd like to join us, chair at livingstonrepublicans.com. And Tyler, if you put my Venmo up there, I have many people that are not able to come with us, but they have Venmo'd some money. Yep, that's what we're doing. And we're going to put the Venmo up there. And I have many people that have donated, and I'll cash it out. And okay, so Venmo, oops. Sorry. All right. Yeah. All right. So just get rid of the V. Just stands for Venmo. So at DebDrick9, that is my Venmo. So if you do that, I get Venmos for other things too. So if you're going to do that, there's a spot where you have to put family or put Christmas family or something like that in there. So I know that's what it's for, because a lot of people buy my seasoning through that, and I don't want it to, they put seasoning on it when they buy that. So you make sure, and, maybe send me a email too at the same time saying, hey, sent you money. All right. So, and I will take all that cash, and this person will get a hefty tip tomorrow night. It'll bless their Christmas. It'll bless pay some of those bills down. So I want to make sure that anybody that wants to come, reach out to me. I will tell you where we're going and what time we're going there. And if like I said, if you can't, but you do want to just help bless them, then just Venmo some cash, and I'll add it to what other people have sent me. And we've got some people going tomorrow, so it'll be nice. I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, I remember at DebDrick9. I remember what that was like as a single mom, and although this family is not single, but still, when you're struggling, you're struggling. When you got multiple children, you're struggling no matter what these days. All right, so anything else going on? We had our Christmas party last week, and I want to say a big special thank you to Stephen Bearden, who are bringing out the karaoke at the American Legion. We had such a good time with the karaoke, and he brought some people, and the vets were there, and everybody got up there and sang, and we had a great gift exchange. Some of those gifts are really creative. I said $15 to $20, and I don't think many people stuck with that, but that's okay. I mean, it did really well. Rob thinks I should do a challenge. All right. So what kind of challenge should I do? Other than just I challenge my I want to raise $1,000 from this podcast. So I challenge anybody watching this podcast to send money at DebDrick9 and for Venmo, and let's see if we can't get it. Let's say if we can't get a right side, $1,000 right side. I'd love to do $1,000 from the show. So send what you can, and everything helps. Everything's going to bless. Like I said, I remember when I was in that position, and back then $10 was like, that was presents. So, or that was, whatever. So it was, So I challenge everybody to, Rob challenges you. Rob challenges everybody to pony up here, and let's bless this family. I think this is a big thing. What else is going on? I don't know. We're going to have a podcast next week. It might be too close to Christmas. I'm having a lot of people say, let's not do that week. I'm not traveling. I'm traveling that week. So we may not. So, but the 30th, as I said, the 30th we will be doing that. Anything else going on? I think they had their last commission meeting, and the next commission meeting in January is their organizational. That's where they set up their committee chairs, or maybe not the committee chairs, but that's where they elect the new chair and the vice chair. So we should have a new chair and vice chair in January of the commission. So, as I said, the commission chair has sponsored breakfast here. This is going to be for a few more weeks. So, maybe, I'm assuming, he'll do something different. They kind of rotated it out over there a little bit. So, anyway, so that'll happen. What else is going on? Genoa Township got a new, I was told this morning that there's a new, trustee, because Janine Deaton left. Rick Susi became the clerk, and then the trustee position that Rick Susi held then got appointed. Her name is Jody. She's in charge of a senior center. I do not know her last name. Whoever it was just told me Jody we have a new person. So congratulations to Jody. I hope you enjoy yourself. I hope love to see you involved in the party. Looking forward to some heavy, some good conservative voting out of you. And if you have any questions about the party, you're I guess I'm making a big leap here, assuming you're Republican. Maybe you're not. So if you're Republican, reach out to me. Here, let's do this again. Here we go. There's my email. Anybody that wants to go tomorrow, or Jody, if you see this, or if anybody can get this to Jody, have her reach out to me. I'd love to say hi to her and welcome her into the public office. And we'll do that. So, anybody have any topics you want to talk about? Pipe up here. All right, Curtis wrote Curtis back here. Let's see. I asked him to define what he thinks is so great Republicans in office. Is that what you're saying? You're defining the GOP with is great Republicans in office. In that case, we win. 2A group. In that case, we win. So whatever criteria you just created, so far we win. We have a outstanding 2A group here. As a matter of fact, Rob Rodriguez and Anna Marie Rodriguez head that, and it's an outstanding group, and we're very staunch 2A supporters here in Livingston County, and we have 100% Republican electeds out here. We don't have any Democrats elected, so that's something to be very proud of. We've worked very hard. I know at the beginning of last year we had 30 open spots that had Democrats waiting to be elected, and we didn't have any Republicans for them. So I know that our whole party worked our tails off doing recruiting and training, and we won all those seats. So I'm really, really happy to say that we all kicked butt and took names last year and filled all that. So we have no Democrats in our county not elected, except for that little area in the 48th district I was just saying. The 48th district, and where we have Jennifer Conlon, because that was the COVID year, and because it's partially Washtenaw County. It's a lot of Washtenaw County. So that's the one I'm talking about, Brian. So I really want to say 100% as opposed to 99.9%. So please help Brian. All right. Rob wants me to talk about the strategic planning meeting and what happens. Okay, that's a good idea. I can talk about that. Again, I think I have sort of been overruled, and we are looking at the 17th. The strategic planning meeting, we started, it was in 2024, January, February of 2024. And we did the first one then, we did the second one January 25, we'll do the third one January 26. And basically, the very first one, we made our mission statement very clear. We all agreed on a mission statement. That has not changed. That's not going to change. That's our guidelines. That sets our umbrella. We don't do anything outside that mission statement. So the mission statement does not say we serve, we gather blood for emergencies. So that's not what we're going to do. We do things for Republican candidates. So we set our mission statement. We did a SWOT analysis, which is basically to define the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. And we created kind of what was going on there, where we could build, where we were doing really well, what we needed to build up, where we didn't do so well, where we needed to work on. And then we did, so that was the first year. Last year, we sort of measured. How did we measure up to what we said? So in the morning, we basically did our measurements. This is what we said we were going to do. This is what we actually did. Boy, we said we were going to do this. We did this instead. Or we did this. We just missed, or we exceeded. We did our measurements on where we did. And so then we set new goals for the next year. The second half was, what new stuff did we need to do? And that was when all these ideas come out. And one of the goals I set for myself was, this was in January of 2025, was I wanted to really sit down and meet with as many EC members as I could. And I reached out to them, and the ones that responded to me, I met with most of them. Some of them, it was just terrible times a year for them. Okay, I get it. So, but I did meet with the vast majority of both EC members and longtime Republicans, and kind of asked them their thoughts. Also elected officials, the electeds. Basically, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What do we need to do more of? What do we need to do less of? And knowing my personality, knowing my strengths, what do I bring to the table in your mind? What do I need to do? What do I need to do more of? And this is at any time, people that know me know this. Anybody at any time can say, Deb, this is what I think you should look into. I'm good with that. I'm always open to that. During one of those conversations, I met with Angela and Alex Yarber. And Angela looked at me and said, Deb, I think you should do a podcast. This was early in this year. And she said, I feel like we need something to, some place that we could announce Livingston County GOP events and issues and things like that. And I was like, brilliant. That is a brilliant idea. So I jumped all over it. It was great. It was a great idea. Let's do this. And in the strategic planning, one of the things were marketing. We needed to step up our communications. We need to step up marketing. This fit the ticket. So, okay, I started the podcast. And what started off, the first idea was, let's just announce GOP stuff, kind of like I do every week. And then right about then, I had gone to a commissioner meeting. I go to several commissioner meetings. And at one commissioner meeting, they voted to put, I don't know, I'm going to make this number up, 60,000 into the veterans, we'll say. I think it was like the veterans department. Add another 60,000 in there. They voted that, whatever, passed it, boom. The next week I was there, and one of the frequent flyer Democrats that stands up and screams every week stood up at the very beginning and called the public and proceeded to, rip all the commissioners a new one for only giving the veterans $6,000. And my God, they deserve more than that. Look at everything they've done for us. And $6,000 is cheap. And how terrible are you? Meanwhile, you got your media there writing this down, and then the story becomes constituents angry, over. But by the time that got corrected later in the night. Everybody was gone, and it was 60,000. And I thought, you know what? This is just a raw deal. I was just incensed that and something else happened, but the Republican side never got said, or it got shrunk or whatever. And I thought, you know what? If we're going to start this podcast, this is going to be an opportunity for the Republicans to say, to have theirs unedited, uncensored, what happened. And then just then, that whole incident, or, shortly afterwards, that whole incident at the Howell Theater where Wes went up there and they wouldn't let Wes in. And then they tried to say all kinds of stuff. But the media never covered his side. So we had Wes on here, told the whole story. And it was huge ratings. And so this podcast suddenly became something bigger than we do. Use it exactly as intended to give out, GOP information, but we also bring in local candidates, statewide issues. We bring in all kinds of people here, and so it became it sort of grew into something bigger. But that's the kind of stuff that happens because of a strategic plan. We go there and we'll spend time kind of analyzing what we did and then brainstorming for what we need to do. By the end of the day, I've got a clear-cut map of the goals that I need to hit. And it's not necessarily you need to raise 612 volunteers to knock doors. You need to knock that. That's not it. It's broader than that. It's something like you need to seriously improve on, you need to figure out new ways to get your message out. Messaging was huge last year. So, everybody said communications messaging. So we made videos. We made a video about the podcast. We're all over the place. So, I think I can happily and confidently say we met the goal. We met the goal for the communications. Maybe some other things not, but I'm pretty sure I have to go back and look at what we said we were going to do, but I'm pretty sure we exceeded everything, or most of it anyway. I think where we struggled was the youth. We did not meet our goal there, but we ended up just saying to ourselves, you know what, we've got this great Turning Point groups. Why are we competing for the same kids? Let's just support the Turning Point instead. So that's what we ended up doing. That was probably a smarter thing anyway. So anyway, but that's what happens. Everybody gets input. It is, what should we do about this? Is this something we want to do? I know that my next year, one of the questions I want to tackle this year was, I want to set up working committees. I want to empower the committees to do what they do. So we have a membership team of the Stantons. That was the very first thing I did, was ask them to co-chair memberships. One of the smartest things I could have done. They are doing a great job, and they are wonderful first faces for people to meet. Setting up a delegate team, and we've got, for current delegates, we've got informational and training by Sharon Lalio, the Three Musketeers, Sharon Lalio, Connie Robinson, and Marcia Dix. They do this great job of keeping them informed and getting them information and helping them to develop relationships. And then we started the team of Norris Hardiman, and he has a team too that is going to work. He's going to work kind of recruiting. He's on the recruiting end, and then he kind of hands them off to Sharon, and then they develop from there. So that's a great thing. Joni Econom has taken on the volunteer coordinating and and the volunteer recruitment, and she's wonderful at it. So it's a great thing to do. But we set the goals, we measure, and then we set new ones. And so, last year when we had people say, well, why don't you do this? Well, you need to come to the strategic planning meeting. The reason for a strategic plan is we set up the year's goals right then and there. And, there's some discretion in there for how I meet those goals. I can, fundraising, we need to raise this much money or whatever. How we raise funds is up to me. We can say we want 2 events, but what events those are, that's kind of up to me. So I have some discretion on how I reach them, but we do set up the goals. And so if there's something that's important to you, or you think we should be doing more of, we want you to come. January 17th, I have a to be determined where, but it's going to start, like I said, the EC portion will start at 8:30. The strategic planning meeting will kick off at 9 and it'll go to about 4. It's a long day, and I'm asking everybody. We had people like leave at 2 o'clock, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's the problem, was that's where all the goal setting gets done. So I'm asking everybody, clear that day. Do not leave early. Stay till the end. We really need your input, especially at the end, because everything builds up to the end. So it's the end is where we set all those goals. So we really need you there. We do have a sponsor for breakfast. Jay has sponsored breakfast. I'm still looking for a sponsor for lunch. Any Republican is invited. We prefer you to be a member, but if you're not a member and you're just a solid Republican, you can come. We'll put more out later, but particularly, we really want you, the executive committee members there. It's vital for you to be there for this. And, committee members, people who are really involved, or people who want to be involved, they should be at this. Some of the things we're going to address this year that were lightly touched on last year, but we agreed that this wasn't the year to do it. I am bombarded with the statements such as, we need to vet our candidates better. They say they're Republicans, and then they get in there and they're not Republicans, or they vote like Democrats. Or they don't vote conservatively. So that, and that is a tough one. That is a real tough one. How do you vet a candidate? So bring your ideas on that one, because you can't really vet a candidate until they've been a candidate. So there's two parts of that. First of all, if you've got somebody that is going to be a candidate that has never been elected, how do you vet them? Yes, we can do a questionnaire, but I know that I've had people tell me, we worked really hard for this person, that person, this person, that person. Then they got elected, and then they totally lost their conservative nature. They don't keep their promises. They're voting differently than they said they would. So the first thing we need to figure out is, if that's the case, what do we do? Because it's real easy to say, well, we could recall them, or well, we could work against them next time. But lots of times those are people everybody likes, which, I'm not pushing one way or the other on this, but I know that, it's one thing for, I don't think everybody understands how many people call me with that question. What are we going to do about this person? What are we going to do? I don't know. That's the question. I don't know what the that's like beyond my pay grade there. I need a group discussion on that. What do we do when the candidates don't live up? Do we do anything? Do we just wait and not endorse them again? Who makes that decision? I mean, does the election, I believe the election committee should, so whatever. The second one the second part of that would be, how do we vet people? How do we do a questionnaire? Now, I know when I was a PAC director for Right to Life, and they had absolute criteria, and maybe that's what we need to do. Absolute criteria. There was a questionnaire, and the questionnaire basically says, what do you, where's your position on A, B, C, 10 questions or whatever. And what would you do under this case? What do you do under this situation? What would you do under this situation? And there is an absolute right and an absolute wrong answer to every one of those. And their policy is, or was, I don't know what they do anymore. I can't believe it's much changed. Their policy is, or was, you were allowed, if everybody answered the same and answered the right way, the correct way according to their bylaws, all of them got endorsed. Every one of them. If even one person voted differently, so you got 7 candidates, let's say, and one of them said they want, they believe choice in, they believe in abortion under these circumstances, right? Because the only, in the Right to Life, the only allowance they make, the only exception they make is to save the life of the mother. But everything else, rape, incest, all that other stuff, they don't approve. So if one person said they believe in the exception in case of rape or incest, one person, you don't give the endorsement to the rest of them. You have to pick the most likely one and just give one endorsement. And the theory behind that was that if you've got 7 candidates and you split the right to life vote 6 ways, that one person that's pro-choice, or the exception, the one person that doesn't, is gonna, the right to life vote's gonna be split too far, and it'll bring a non-right to life person to the front. So they say if even one person answers it wrong, you've got to identify the most likely one, the one who's got because the questions you ask in the interview are about their campaign, about their experience, about their funding, and you pick the one you think's most likely to win. And then you only endorse that person. So I've done that before. And I feel like that is a good one. That's a good way to do it. So I feel like we really need to identify our candidates, and, when there's multiples, and basically say, who is it we think, because you're right. The people that are calling me, I know they're right. We've had that done where we've helped people get elected, and then they just dump, they vote terribly. They cave to pressure or whatever. So it's just a bad thing. So I don't feel like the party should get involved in recalls, but at least, somebody would have to convince me otherwise. I'm not, I'm never I'm never 100% locked in, but I can't think of a reason to get involved in a recall. That's just up to the voters. That shouldn't be a party thing. But I do believe that better vetting. So one of the things I want to really, really focus on this next is, how do we vet? What should those questions, what should that questionnaire look like? And, the election committee could meet with them and ask those questions, and then come up with their strategy at that point. And then we can go from there. So I feel like that's a viable thing. Also, remember that this is an election year, and if you have never been a part of the party and you want to be a part of any of the election events or the election assistance, you must be a member. And if you're not currently a member, that means you're going to pay $100 in advance for the whole year in order to oh, I see what you did. All right. He threw me, took away my comments, and I didn't know what he did. He put right down here. There's the way to join. So if you're going to be a candidate, and if you have to pay the full year in advance, $100 if you're a candidate. If you're new to the party, if you've already been a member, then you just renew it, whatever you're doing, and you're fine. But new members, candidates who are new members to our party, that's cost you $100, and you got to pay that. You pay it all at once up front. So. So that's our strategic planning session. We get, but we have good times, with good discussions. We have breakout sessions, so in the second half of the day, if you really are not interested in raising money, but you are in volunteers, or you are with the delegates, then go off to the delegate breakout area, or the membership breakout area, or the whatever, there are different breakout areas that everybody can just go to, the ones they want to. And, we brainstorm solutions and see how we go. So I am really excited on reporting out everything we've done this year, because I think we've had a banner year. Starting out with zero money in the bank, stinking Rob, he spent it all on me. He gave it all to the candidates, which good, that's what you want to do. But that was rough looking at that bank balance in the 0.03 or whatever it was. It was terrible. And thank God we had an understanding landlord. Frank, we have no money. I got to wait till I get some memberships kicking in here. And he was great about it. So he said, I know where you live. So we caught up really quickly. So, we're definitely in the black now. But that was, so where we came from, and, we met. But the reason we got from there to where we are here is that strategic plan. We got everybody on board. We got the goals set. We got going, and we stuck to it. So thanks for all those people that stuck it out and thanks for those people who are going to set the whole day aside. Please do not leave in the middle of the time. It's just you miss the most important part is in that second half. So anyway, that's all. So I'm going to call it now. No meeting, no podcast next week. I don't think I have anybody. I know I've got, like I said, Brian Ignatowski coming on the 30th, and Ralph Rebrandt coming on the 13th of January. He will be on the podcast. I have on January 5th, we have an open house here, a meet and greet for Secretary of State candidate Monica Yutuma and Attorney General candidate Kevin Kievsky. That'll be here, and it'll be right here at the Victory Center, and it'll just be, come on in, it'll be, little snacky type things, and then beverages, and just meet the candidates, talk to them, get your questions answered. We're coming ahead of our we're doing a February convention. We're doing that, 26th, I think, at Floodgate Church, like we usually do. And we're gonna be sending out a call to convention. As a matter of fact, Bill called me today. Bill Reiber is our vice chair. Bless him and his detail brain, which mine doesn't always work. So he's a great compliment to me, and a great assistance to me. He is going to, he's kind of running the details of the convention. So he's setting it up. He and Mike Staton have set up at Floodgate. And so we're going to have a meeting, Rochelle, the secretary, and myself and Bill, who's kind of running the back end of it. And because Rochelle is brand new, and normally you start a new secretary, and then a convention is 9 months away, and they have a chance of a minute or two to learn things. Well, this was really with the new endorsement convention in March, she didn't have a chance at learning anything enough for that. So Paul Funk stepped in, or I called Paul, will you help? Absolutely. So Paul is going to sit with her and kind of walk her through the convention process. So that is very helpful, because it's not something I've ever done, that part of it, the secretary version of it. So I would really be worried, the blind leading the blind. So in this particular case, Paul's done it several times, so it's good. And, she's in good hands there, and Bill working on the back end with the software and that. So we're going to have a meeting on that. So I'll have more on that on the 30th when I come here. So anyway, thanks Rob for good podcast tonight. Remember, wrong one. There we go. At DebDrick9 is my Venmo. So if you want to help that family, if not, give me an email. Where is it? Up here. Here we go. Right there. Chair at LivingstonRepublicans.com if you want to join us. We've got, like I said, we got several people going, and it's just basically, you can decide what you want to tip. It doesn't have to be the $100 thing. Just, sit with us, order a burger or whatever, and then, just tip heavily. And then I will give her all the money and gift cards that I've collected from various people, and we'll make somebody a real Merry Christmas, I promise. So anyway, good. I agree. It's a good podcast tonight, Rob. And I looking forward to, let's see, we got one more this year if we're not doing one next week because of Christmas. So that's it. Am I missing anything, Tyler? Over here in the corner, you never see him, but is Tyler Hammock, and he is here every week unless Stinkin' Murphy has a fundraiser. Then he always goes to that. Thanks, Mike. So anyway, but Tyler is here, rain and shine and snow and ice, and he is here every single week. And he's the one that when something needs typing, he's typing it, or somebody walks in, I can't get up and go see who's there. He gets up and handles it. Or, we have a technical issue, he can fix it. So, but big thanks to Tyler. He comes every single week he's here, and I can always count on his assistance. So, Tyler's looking for a new job, I'll tell you. So anybody needs an assistant at anything, I will personally recommend him. He's dependable. He does what he says he's going to do. He shows up on time every time, and he does it. So take a look at your help wanted situation, and call me if you need a reference. I'll definitely talk to you about him. So, all right. Good. I probably won't see you again this way, so I will see you after Christmas. So you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you on Christmas. No, we'll see you New Year's Eve. Okay, December 30th. See you then.